Hello, everyone. Since it's the top of the hour, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'd like to thank you all for being here. My name is Miranda Kennedy, and I'm the director of the Able National Resource Center. Again, thank you for joining us today for our May Spotlight webinar, Maximizing Able Accounts, presented by the National Stable Plan, a 12-state partnership of Able programs. Our presenters will be providing information and strategies to help you, your family member, or the community you serve to make the most out of the opportunity provided by the ABLE program. Next slide. Today's webinar is brought to you by the ABLE National Resource Center, where we are proud to be the leading comprehensive source of objective, independent information about federal and state-related ABLE programs and activities, including guidance on tax-advantaged ABLE savings accounts. Our mission is to educate, promote, and support the positive impact ABLE can make on the lives of millions of Americans with disabilities and their families. I'd like to turn things over now before I go over our agenda and introduce our National Stable Plan presenters. I'm going to hand things over to Maggie, my colleague, who's going to be taking just 2 or 3 minutes to walk us through the webinar logistics on our new Zoom platform and get us all set up for that. So Maggie, can you go ahead and take it away?
Sure. Welcome, everyone. As Miranda said, my name is Maggie, and I'm going to go over a few things to help you help make the webinar run smoothly for you. Listening to the webinar. The audio for today's meeting can be accessed using computer audio or by calling in by phone. If you select computer audio, please make sure your speakers are turned on or your headphones are plugged in. If you do not have sound capabilities on your computer or prefer to listen by phone, please dial 1-929-205-6099 and enter the meeting code 165-123-576. Captioning. Real-time captioning is being provided during this webinar. The captions can be found by clicking the CC button in your Zoom controls at the bottom of the screen. If you do not see the captions after clicking the button, please alert the host via the chat box. You may also view captions in your browser at http://www.streamtext.net/player?event=NDI. Submitting questions. Please use the Q&A box to submit questions you have during the webinar, and we will direct them accordingly. If your question is not answered during the webinar, or you are listening by phone and not logged in, you may email info@ablenrc.org. Technical assistance. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, please use the chat box to send a message to the NDI host, or you may email mredden@ndi-inc.org. Please note the webinar is being recorded and the materials will be placed on the ABLE National Resource Center website, along with all of our other ABLE webinars at ablenrc.org/webinars. And with that, I will turn it back over to Miranda.
Okay, great. Thank you, Maggie. Okay, again, my name is Miranda Kennedy, and I'm going to be facilitating our presentation and also the question and answer session we're going to be having at the end. And I'm so pleased to have joining us 3 individuals who are an integral part of the National Stable Plan and its leadership, who are joining us today as our presenters. We have Doug Jackson, who's the Deputy Director of the Stable Account, Karen Kreider, who's the Manager of South Carolina's ABLE Savings Program, and Thomas Hatch, who's our Operations Manager for the Stable Account. And let me tell you just a little bit about each of them. Thomas is the Operations Manager, as I said, for the Stable Account, which is Ohio's ABLE program. He has a BA in Economics and an MS in Business Administration degrees from San Diego State University. Tom joined the Treasurer's Office in August 2017 to assist with the rapid expansion of the Stable Account program. Tom and the Stable team have been busy traveling across the country, talking to families, disability organizations, service providers, and other states, government agencies, and corporations about Stable accounts. Karen Kreider is a graduate of the University of South Carolina and spent the earlier part of her career in marketing and outreach. Her oldest son, Matthew, has a rare neurological condition, which provides her with firsthand understanding of the challenges faced by individuals with disabilities and their families. And today, Karen combines her passion and experience to increase awareness of the South Carolina ABLE Savings Program among the disability community statewide. Doug Jackson has been dedicated to the field of developmental disabilities for over 20 years and works with a passion to serve people with disabilities and their families through improving the support system and the support staff. Doug's experience includes managing the services of a direct support agency, executive administration in Ohio's County Board of DD system, teaching human services classes at Wright State University, and guiding a state-operated developmental center as the superintendent. Doug joined the Office of the Ohio State Treasurer of State to help administer Ohio's Stable Accounts, a financial plan for people with disabilities. Let's go to the next slide. So our agenda that we're going to be covering today is that first I'm going to be taking just a moment to introduce and provide some context around our Spotlight series on ABLE programs. I'll also be quickly covering 2 slides with resources on ABLE basics before handing it over to Doug and his team to get us started. They'll be then introducing the National Stable Plan and explaining their partner state model, as well as providing information on Stable's features and investment options and how to maximize your Stable account and investment options. We will also be hearing the stories of Stable account participants. Finally, we hope to have time for questions and answers with all of you, our audience. This is why we factored in 75 minutes for the presentation so that we can take that extra time at the end to address your questions. So what is the ABLE National Resource Center's Spotlight series? Throughout 2019, we are conducting a series of bi-monthly ABLE program Spotlight webinars. You're on one of them right now. These webinars are intended for those who already have a basic understanding of ABLE, sorry, not webinars. On these Spotlight webinars, state ABLE programs that are a part of multi-state collaborations, as well as individual state programs, will provide program-specific details, general guidance, and best practices. Each program Spotlight will also cover the range of investment options offered. We wanted to put a focus on this piece around investment because the investment choices offered in choosing an ABLE account or making adjustments to an ABLE account over time is an often confusing aspect of the ABLE program and ABLE accounts for individuals who want to make the most of their ABLE account but are new to the concepts of investing and saving, since that hasn't been on the radar for many folks in our community. Our hope is to help pull back the curtain, provide some more information and transparency around investments made through your ABLE account, and give guidance, strategies, and best practices to consider to make the very most out of the investment component of your ABLE account. And I think the title for today's presentation is pretty apt, maximizing it. So our upcoming spotlights in 2019 are going to include, in July, we're going to have the ABLE for All 3-state partnership led by Oregon, and then in September, the CalABLE program in California. So those are some that are queued up, and you'll be seeing those coming in the future. So now, I know I just said that these webinars are for those who have a basic knowledge of ABLE. For those of you who know the basics and could probably give a presentation on the basics to others, we want to spend our time today going deeper. However, for those of you who are on with us where this happens to be your first or one of your first exposures to ABLE, we don't want to leave you behind. So the next 2 slides will give you information, this one we're on right now and the next, will give you information on resources that are available through the ABLE National Resource Center to get you those 101 basics that we won't be providing in today's deeper dive into the Stable program. We'll also have some of those answers being answered by, some of those questions being answered by my colleagues, Peggy and Lori, who are joining us, and we'll be responding to some of the Q&A questions coming in on the chat. So on this next slide you see in front of us here, you're going to find on the home page, nope, go back one. You'll find on the homepage of the Able National Resource Center's website under www.ablenrc.org, under the How to Get Started tab, our roadmap to enrollment. That was the previous slide. And it gives you those 5 steps, including 3-minute videos with each step that covers what is ABLE, who is eligible, how can funds be used, how do I manage my account, and how do I enroll? These are very basic questions about any ABLE program across the country. Once you have enrolled and have an ABLE account, you're going to want to check out our next roadmap, the roadmap to independence, which you see on the right. And that will be found on our homepage under the Managing My Account tab. And this roadmap for ABLE is for account owners. And it also comes with short videos and direction to guide you through the steps to make the most of your ABLE account, which we're going into deeper here today and specific to Stable. But this is a very general information, again, along the lines of what we're covering today, but this will be something that will be a helpful resource for you on setting financial goals, building a circle of support, people and entities who can contribute to your ABLE account, making those smart financial decisions, how to monitor your ABLE account, and finally, celebrating your financial independence. And that information is also available in Spanish. Now we can go to this next slide. All right, here we're gonna see, we do encourage you to sign up for our mailing list to receive our monthly Achievable newsletter and important ABLE related updates. That may be how you heard about us in this webinar here today. But if not, please do sign up for our newsletter. We also encourage you to use our ABLE program comparison tool to help you evaluate and choose the right ABLE program for you from the 41 states plus DC. You see them all in blue on this map that currently have ABLE programs in operation. And with that, I think it's time for us to start talking about the National Stable Plan. And to get us started with that, I'm going to hand things over to Doug Jackson. So Doug, thank you for being here with us today, and the platform's yours.
Great, thank you, Miranda. So the Stable Account Program, sometimes people ask, well, I thought we were talking about ABLE accounts, what is Stable? So just for clarification in the very beginning, we want to make sure people understand that Stable is the brand name, so to speak, of Ohio's ABLE plan. So our plan serves people in all 50 states. We're fortunate to currently be serving people or have beneficiaries signed up for our account from all 50 states. So it's not just available, but being used there currently. And it's administered by the Ohio Treasurer's Office. So you do not have to live in Ohio or live in a partner state that's utilizing the Stable Account Program. You can participate from any place in the United States. But Stable Account was the first ABLE program in America. We launched on June 1st, 2016. And it's the first and largest ABLE plan still in the nation. When we say largest, what we like to point out is that it's not just the size of it, but it is that people with disabilities have the free choice of an ABLE plan. Any national plan available to them or an in-state plan where they live, they could choose. And because of the features of the Stable Account Program, we've still remained to be the largest program in the nation. And we'll explain those features today as why those features remain to draw people to our program to serve the needs that they have from an ABLE account. When we look at the Stable Account Partner State Model, and we're happy today to really bring you the full picture of Stable Account and what it means to operate in a partner state as well as operate as a national plan. So later on, you're going to hear from Karen Kreider about operating in a partner state and what's available in South Carolina. But we all work together within our partner states and the outreach that they do in their own state, as well as Ohio administering it nationally. We work together for this one purpose, and that's to provide people with disabilities the opportunity to achieve financial independence through our most used ABLE savings and investment program. So again, no matter which state you're in, you get the features that are built into this and can maximize the use of an ABLE account because of these features. So there are a few pictures on the bottom from people from around the country that are benefiting from Stable Account. Later on, we're going to talk about some stories of some specific individuals and why they've chosen Stable as the ABLE program that they're using. When you look at the partnership, though, just to get the scope of what partnership means for the Stable Account Program, there are 12 states that work together for the common good of the strength of Stable Account. And what that allows us to do is to remain very strong in the numbers that we serve, you've probably heard about concerns for sustainability of ABLE programs. But because of the model that we've gone with to grow the stable account program, all of the participants of stable account have no fear about sustainability. We're now serving over 11,000 people across the nation, and our current partner states are listed here on this slide. You can live in any state, though. I can't reiterate that enough. You can live in any state and participate in the stable account program, which is especially important if you look at the map and the key to the map, and you see some states that don't have an in-state program. They are looking to states outside of their own for available programs, and we are certainly an option for those 9 states that don't have an ABLE account, but we're also an option for any other state in the nation. With that, on the next slide, I am proud to introduce one of our partner state teammates. So Karen Kreider, as she was introduced earlier by Miranda, and her bio was read. Karen is just one of our partner state administrators. So Karen joins us from South Carolina, and she's going to offer just great information about stable account strengths and features and how South Carolina operates as a partner with Ohio. So with that, Karen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Hi, everybody, and greetings from South Carolina. As Doug said, my name is Karen Kreider, and I am with the State Treasurer's Office here in Columbia. And I feel very privileged to serve as the program manager for the South Carolina ABLE Savings Program. As Miranda mentioned, my oldest son, Matthew, he's 23 years old. He has Sturge-Weber syndrome, and he is very proud to be a South Carolina ABLE Savings Account owner, and I'm his authorized legal representative. So, as you can imagine, ABLE accounts are very important to me, not only from a business perspective, but on a personal level as well, because I understand firsthand the benefits of owning an ABLE account and the positive impact they can have on individuals with disabilities and their families. Next slide, please. Okay, now let's talk about the strengths of the stable account program. And I'll be covering these points in more detail later in my presentation. But to get started, whenever I meet with groups and I speak to disability groups all across the state, one of the points that I always make is that the Ohio Stable Account Program truly is a national powerhouse. Ohio, as Doug said, was the first state to launch their program, and today the Stable Account Program is the largest and most used program in the country. And I think, as you could tell, the Stable Account team is very proud to have accounts open in each of the 50 states and the District of Columbia as well. With more than 11,000 stable accounts open and funded, they have more than $65 million in assets under management, and that's a sizable program. Ohio also offers exceptional customer service to their accounts because people frequently call needing information and assistance. We're going to also talk about the Stable Card. Stable account owners and authorized legal representatives can request a free debit card, the Stable Card, which is powered by TrueLink. And the Stable Card makes it very easy to spend funds on qualified disability expenses. We'll talk about employee payroll direct deposit, which makes it very easy for people to save for their future. And Ohio provides all of this, plus their leadership, their expertise, and the program to the partner states at zero cost. There is no cost for states to become a partner and participate in the Ohio Stable Account Program. And I would just like to reiterate what Doug said, and this is last but by no means least. The Ohio Stable Account Program is sustainable. It's financially strong, and it's here to stay. Next slide. Now let's talk about some of the features that make the Stable Account Program the quality program that it is. First, it's very easy to access funds in a stable account, and there are multiple ways that funds can be accessed for use on qualified disability expenses, including the free Stable Debit Card. The website's very intuitive, and it's easy to make contributions online, and you can even set up your Stable account to make automatic recurring contributions. And stable accounts make it easy to track your expenses, which is important. For many individuals with disabilities, owning a stable account may represent the first time they have been able to own a financial account like this. And so the Stable program offers simple, low-cost, index-based investment options, which makes it easy for account beneficiaries or their ALRs to select the option or options that best meet their needs. And Tom Hatch is going to talk to you more about this later on. Stable accounts also provide many resources for the account owners, such as fact sheets, power of attorney forms, and other materials. And they are available in Spanish for our Spanish-speaking account owners and their families. And of course, the website for the Stable program and all the partner states are ADA compliant, and they're very easy to use on your cell phone. Now, in terms of customer service support, which I mentioned earlier, we feel that it's very important that our customer service team is dedicated to stable accounts only. They don't provide support for other financial products, but are specific to stable accounts. Our hours are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the good news is that when you call, you get a live person. You don't have to go through a phone tree. One day I was speaking to an individual, and this actually happened just a few weeks ago. I was speaking to a lady who was the authorized representative for several stable accounts, and she told me, unprompted, that you have the best customer service team that I've ever worked with, which is really great feedback for me to be able to share with our Ohio team and to everybody here as well. Now, another benefit of our customer service team is that they are trained in people first language, which is very appropriate given our the community that we all work in. We have assistance available for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, and we also have options for Spanish language support. And finally, the Stable account team can provide wrongful benefits determination assistance. Now, what this means is that if a Stable account owner encounters an issue with the benefits agency who may erroneously count able assets as a resource for purposes of benefits determination, the Stable account team will immediately become involved. Ohio will work aggressively to resolve the issue as quickly as possible on behalf of the account beneficiary. Now, to the best of my knowledge, this has never happened in South Carolina, but I always encourage people to contact us immediately if it does, because this is the kind of situation that will be treated with great urgency by the Stable account team. Next slide, please. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are several ways to spend and access funds from your Stable account for use on qualified disability expenses. The good news is that withdrawals are free, and there are no limits on how many withdrawals you can make monthly, and there's no limit on the amount of money that may be withdrawn. So how do you spend from your Stable account? Well, there are three options. First, funds may be transferred from the Stable account into a personal checking or savings account, and then accessed via a debit card or a check that's attached to that bank account. Another really convenient option is to use a third-party check. So if someone has regular ongoing expenses, they can request a third-party check be issued directly from the Stable account to the payee. And this feature is really very similar to the bill pay services that you may use through a regular bank account. And finally, and we're going to talk more about this next, is the Stable debit card. And this allows you to access your funds very easily. Now, one thing that's important to remember is that the Stable account program will never ask how your funds are being spent, but the IRS or benefits agencies may. And for this reason, it's very important to keep detailed records of your expenditures from your Stable account. And now I want to talk about the Stable card, which is shown here. This card is powered by TrueLink, who is a national leader of reloadable Visa cards in the disability space. Next slide, please. Okay. The Stable card are prepaid debit cards, and they can be used anywhere that Visa is accepted. And I learned from Tom that Stable cards are being used in each of the 50 states and the District of Columbia, so they are being used everywhere in the nation. Now, these are reloadable cards, and so for convenience, an authorized legal representative, and an account beneficiary can each have a unique stable card, which provides them individual access to funds. And if there are 2 cards on the stable account, you would load separate balances on each card to ensure that you would have funds available for planned disability expenses. Now, there are some protections for the stable card. And for example, if you load funds onto your stable card, those funds are still under the protection of your stable account, meaning those funds on the card are not counted as a resource for purposes of benefits. And because it's a load and spend card, you cannot overdraft the stable card. You do not have cash access from ATM machines with a stable card, which we also consider a protection of funds. And you can even limit merchants that are approved for expenditures. Now, the stable card can also help you track expenses. You can monitor your spending levels, you can set up alerts, such as a low balance alert, and you can customize reporting features. You can even add notes online to indicate what the expense was for, and now you can upload your receipts to maintain a permanent record of your expenditures. And all of this makes it really easy to track and maintain records for the stable account. And finally, the stable card is free. There is no monthly fee, there's no domestic transaction fee, and there are no PIN fees. And the number of transactions are unlimited. Okay, now let's talk about e-gift events. Now, these are really a great way for account beneficiaries to ask for contributions to their stable account, whether it's for a birthday, for graduation, or holidays. In fact, we actually have a special gifting tool that can be used to set up an e-gift event online. All you do is upload your contacts and their email addresses, and an email with a unique link will be sent, and a personalized message from the sender will be sent asking for a contribution to the stable account program. Now, the advantage of e-gifts is that the contributions received go directly into the stable account and therefore will not affect any benefits that may be received. And the stable account system even tracks the contributions for the account owner, which makes it really easy to send follow-up thank you notes to people who are making contributions to the account. One of our South Carolina Able Savings Account owners, I think, said it best. His name is William, and he said, and I'm quoting William, he said, "Creating an e-gift event is a great way to have family and friends help you make your dreams come true." And that's so important. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about direct deposit. And this is a really great program feature because payroll deductions make it very easy for an employed account owner or a family member to deposit payroll wages directly into a stable account. In fact, it's you can look at it as an easy way to put saving for the future on autopilot. It's very easy to set up this function. Account owners simply log into their stable account and go to the Financials tab and then follow the prompts. There's a form you fill out, and you can see part of the form right here. When it's completed, you take it to your Human Resources department to process, and it's literally that simple. Next slide. Now, before we talk about why South Carolina became a partner state with the Ohio Stable Program, let me tell you a little bit about this picture, which I use literally every time I make a presentation or speak to groups about the South Carolina Able Savings Program. This picture was taken behind the South Carolina State House the day that our program opened for enrollment in November of 2017. You can see our treasurer, Curtis Loftus, standing fourth from the right, wearing the red tie, and Doug Jackson. Doug, you're there. You're standing right next to the treasurer. You're third from the right. And we were also joined that day not only by our partners in Ohio, but with some leaders from national disability organizations. It was a great day for South Carolina. And I will point out that the young man who was second from the left that is kind of not smiling would be my son, Matthew. And he was very serious that day. But we were proud and very excited to open our program for the citizens of South Carolina. Now, from everything I've covered, I hope it is easy to see why South Carolina decided to become a partner state with Ohio. But I really would like to recap now because this was a big and very important decision for the Treasurer's Office. Some of the reasons that were behind this were that first, Ohio is a recognized leader on the ABLE front, and they really do an excellent job of keeping us up to date on happenings in the national ABLE landscape, which is not only important to South Carolina, but to all the partner programs, partner states. Also, since launching their program, Ohio has been the strongest ABLE program in the country. I know we've said it, but they have over 11,000 accounts and more than $65 million in assets. That makes the stable account program almost twice the size as the next largest program. Another factor that was very important to Treasurer Loftus and to the Treasurer's senior leadership team was the fact that Ohio offers among the lowest account fees in the country for stable account owners. The Treasurer and his team are committed to providing the best value possible to South Carolinians, and the stable account program enables us to do just that. I can tell you that the program support that we receive from Ohio is outstanding. We communicate regularly, not only with the team in Ohio, but with the other partner states as well. It truly is a collaborative effort. We have calls, regularly scheduled calls, we talk, we share best practices, and we all work together to really improve and grow the programs in each of our respective states. And finally, the stable account program is sustainable in today's ABLE climate. The program is strong, it's very well managed, and it's here to stay. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Tom Hatch to talk about investments. Tom?
Thank you, Karen, and glad to be on with everybody today on this webinar. This is a passionate area of mine, not just ABLE accounts in general and helping the individuals in these disability areas, but investments as well. And knowing that this can be a challenging aspect for many individuals, wanted to hopefully give you some practical information and tips, not even just simply about our program, but how what considerations you might make when considering investment options in the ABLE space. So again, my name is Thomas Hatch, the operations manager, and I'm glad to be here with you. So the first thing that a lot of financial professionals might consider or ask somebody that they're meeting with when determining what type of investments and how they may want to invest are typically a series of questions. These 4 questions that we have listed here are very common. They may be phrased different ways, and I tried to phrase them in a way that would be easiest to understand and to digest. But we'll kind of go over these, and this would be the primary place to start for anybody considering investing, and that would be investing probably in any practical way, whether it be in a stable account or even at a personal level. So when you're asking yourself these questions, and we'll go through those, we'll even give you an example of this wonderful couple that's here pictured and how they used this model to do something very meaningful in their life. So typically one of the first questions you'll ask yourself is, what am I saving this money for? That's kind of like your goal or your purpose behind that. This may be something more long-term, like I have an expense of something that I want to buy that's going to take more money and resources than I have now, so I need to save that up until I have enough money to be able to purchase this. Or it could be something as short-term as I just need to save money for next month's rent or other kinds of bills or expenses. But having a goal or a purpose in mind is always very key, right? And as we learn oftentimes in the financial industry, without a goal or a purpose, then that savings doesn't necessarily always materialize in the way that you would hope. But if we set that goal and we have something that we're striving and working towards, then that often helps our savings and helps us accomplish that very goal or significant item. The next thing that you might ask yourself is, how much money will I need? So for whatever that goal is, what is it going to cost? Again, if it's a longer term item, we have an example that we share internally about a participant here in the state of Ohio that needed new hearing aids, and that was a significant cost that his insurance company wouldn't cover, and so he had a definite dollar amount in mind that he needed, and that then helped as he was assessing how long it's going to take him and how much he would need to save and how much contributions he was hoping to receive from others in order to be able to reach that goal and then be able to purchase those hearing aids for his particular purpose. The next question that you might look at is, when will I need it? So this is, how much time is there till I might need this? So another example here is of a young man. He's actually was pictured earlier on the direct deposit screen. This is Travis, a wonderful beneficiary we have in our state. And I was recently talking to Travis, and he has an Alaskan cruise trip scheduled for September of 2020. So at the time I talked to him about that, it was about a year and a half away. So he has now a specific amount of time that's determined that he'll need to get these funds saved by in order to fully pay for this trip that he's now reserved and is on a payment plan for. So that gives him some structure around this goal. So his goal is, I want to go on this trip, the time, about a year and a half before the trip happens, and then he's able to determine through that process how much he needs to save personally, and maybe solicit contributions through e-gift from other people to help him out, to be able to save that money to be able to afford and go on that trip. So that is another important item to consider. And then lastly, what is your comfort level with the possibility of losing money? I like to phrase this question this way. In financial circles, they'll use the word risk, which is a big fancy word to some people. But really the biggest consideration is, if the value of your money went down, how much concern does that cause you? Of course, we all hope that the value of our money goes up and that we have more resources to spend than we started with. But the bigger question is, how comfortable are you if the worst case scenario happened and the value of your money went down? Because that will definitely impact your consideration for how you want to invest these monies. And all ABLE programs, which we'll get to here in just a minute, typically offer at least a savings option. That would be an option that is stable, that's no pun intended there, but offers an option for the value of that account to never go down. It's typically like a traditional bank savings account. We'll earn a little bit of interest, but not necessarily a lot over time. And that is sort of your base starting point in most programs. And then beyond that, depending on your needs and your goals and how comfortable you are with investments, there are other options that you could utilize. So looking at this wonderful couple here that is pictured, Donnie and Michelle are now one of our great examples that we have to use, because they accomplished something that is a dream for many people. And definitely before ABLE legislation, probably would not have been possible for them in the fashion that they were able to do this. Donnie and Michelle are Oklahoma residents and are part of our Oklahoma Stable Account Program. And they started very early on after the Stable Account Program was very first established. They have been saving for 2.5 years. Now, I cannot confirm that at the beginning of their savings that they thought that it might take 2.5 years for them to get to this goal, but the goal was that they wanted to own their own home. Again, they're a married couple. Each individual has developmental disabilities. They individually each qualified for a stable account, and each opened up a stable account to be able to try to maximize the amount of savings that they could make, and have been saving for 2.5 years. And it's outlined in a wonderful article back in early April. They were able to accomplish that goal. And here's a picture of them sitting in the real estate agents' offices with their 2 agents with their nice little sold sign after having finished their closing documents on their first home together. And they're proud to be able to be in this home, so that on their 10-year wedding anniversary, which is this August, they will be in that home together and be reaping the benefits of what these accounts can be used for, because they would have never had the chance to be able to save that amount of money to be able to put towards this goal under the old rules and still be able to maintain the benefits that they have. So next we'll go ahead and look at some specifics of what the investment options that are in our specific plan, and some other resources that you have that could probably be beneficial in determining what may be appropriate for you. One of the goals when we first were establishing this program was to try and as best as possible make the investment options as simple as possible. we realized that for a vast majority of individuals that would be using these accounts, this was going to be a brand new option that they never had to work with before. And even in many cases, they may have a parent or an authorized legal representative or a guardian who themselves may likewise not be very exposed to these types of accounts and investments. And so we sought out to make this as streamlined and as simple as possible. And this is what we came up with for our program. So we have 4 investment options. We also have what we call the bank safe option, which is our essentially savings account. So I don't list that as an investment option because it's basically like a savings option and is very stable and safe and won't lose any money, will gain a little bit of interest. That's offered through Fifth Third Bank. But if you want to invest the funds, and here on the screen you have Vanguard, one of the largest and most reputable mutual fund companies in the country. There's not very many people you'll run across that haven't heard of their name, hopefully. And the image that you're looking at on this screen is directly from Vanguard's website. So one of the things that is really neat and convenient is because we use a core mutual fund product that they offer, then you can go directly to their website and they offer a plethora or a lot of resources that you can use to further investigate what those investment options are, what they mean, who they might be appropriate for. And so even though none of us, either in our program or any other ABLE program, frankly, can offer our participants investment advice, you need to be registered, and have certain certifications to be able to do that. And so that's a restriction that we have. Vanguard here on their site, as you'll see, provides a great amount of information that almost sort of can supplement that. So as you see there, you'll see the 4 different fund names. You have that they're all life strategy funds. We have an income fund, a conservative growth, a moderate growth, and a growth fund. And then as you go down the list, Vanguard themselves, as an investment company, have already identified for you who this might be applicable to. The second one down, investment time horizon, which is just a fancy word for how much time would you allow the money to sit there without needing to spend it. So they've already sort of identified for you their recommendation for about how long you would want to leave the money there without possibly needing to withdraw it and use it in order to allow it enough time to grow and progress. They have their risk. Again, risk gets back to my question of how comfortable are you with potentially losing money. On this, they rank it from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. So the lower on that scale you are, the less chance potentially there is for loss, but also the amount that you gain might also be less. And then the higher up you go on that scale, the greater potential you have for both gain and loss, depending on how investment markets do. And then they even show you down further how this portfolio is allocated, meaning they've already pre-selected the investments that are involved in there between stocks and bonds. And you could even dig further in on their website as to the specific stocks and specific bonds, if that's something you're interested in. But they have a great amount of information, and because we're using this preset mutual fund that they already have, all of that information is available to you. We haven't crafted any particular special kind of investment type that thus doesn't have any publicly available information about it. We use something that's right off the shelf from one of the most reputable companies in the country, and this has provided simplicity and also really, really great options for our beneficiaries. The next thing I thought that I would do is to provide for you some examples. Now, what's interesting here is I wanted to preface this by saying this. At the top, we highlight and outline again that we have these 4 Vanguard mutual fund options from aggressive to conservative, and then that also principal protected savings option. The one thing I wanted to do here is sometimes we get those questions of, well, what considerations might I want to think about in choosing how I want to invest? And I will reemphasize that these examples are not meant in any way, shape, or form to be any type of investment advice. So please don't take it that way, and please don't potentially consider this advice on what you should do. But I thought it would be very helpful to run through a couple different scenarios of how people might be using these and considerations that they might make. So under example 1, we might have an individual who is actively using their account to support their living expenses. So this might be somebody, we'll just make up a scenario that's in their early 20s. They might be living on their own, maybe sharing a space with some other individuals. So they have shared rent and shared bills. They have a part-time job, and they need a place to put some of their excess monies to make sure that they remain eligible for their benefits. But even the monies that they're putting in the stable account, they would like access to have to continue to help with their rent payments and utility payments and other things that they have on a month-to-month basis. So in that particular case, the consideration might be, because these funds are going to be very short-term and going to be used for current expenses, that somebody may want to go ahead and just use the bank safe option. That way, these funds are protected. There's no chance that when they go in to pay their bill, there's the opportunity to have anything less than what they put in. And so they may want to keep it relatively safe. And so this, in that particular example, the bank safe and putting 100% in the bank safe may be a very viable option for them. In example number 2, we'd be looking at a situation in which maybe you have a parent with a very young child, and that young child was either born or diagnosed at a very young age with some type of disability. And so the parent would be looking at this more as a long-term account, that they would be saving and investing for their child for when they reach a young adulthood or beyond. So we're talking about, let's say 15, 18, 20 years before there's a possibility that this child might want to be using these funds. This may be very similar, for example, to like a college savings account that a parent would open up for a child at a very young age. So in this case, the way that we've shown this example is that the parent might then select to allocate, let's say, a large portion of that, in this case 80%, to the growth, because they have such a long period of time to invest and they want to maximize the potential for growth. And so they're not as concerned about short-term losses, that they're willing to invest it this way for the long term. We've also just in this example shown that maybe there are some current ongoing monthly or annual expenses that could be necessary for this child, and so they're still putting a small portion of contributions into the bank safe, so they can have some readily accessible funds that they know aren't going to be changing in value, to then be able to withdraw and use on immediate needs should those needs arise. The other thing that I'll point out within our program, and this is actually a federal law, is that twice a year, individuals can go in and they can change their investment options. So they could, in this particular case, using this scenario, let's say this parent was putting 20% aside in this bank safe, and at the end of a given year, they've determined, well, we haven't really used much of that for any current expenses, so maybe we want to move a portion of that into the growth fund to accelerate our potential growth over the years. And so if they haven't already done so, they have 2 of those options a year that they can go in and physically move the funds between any of these options. The other thing that we have within our program is at any point in time, and this can be done an unlimited number of times, the participant can go in and change how they want new contributions invested. So we already have a pre-established, when you first establish your account, you'll let us know how you want your initial contribution invested. But once that initial contribution is invested, let's say there's a scenario in which you decide, well, I want to change so that any future contributions go into a different type of investment option. You can go into our system and change that unlimited number of times throughout the year. So just remember that only twice can you physically move funds between any of the options, but an unlimited number of times you can direct us to add new contributions to whichever account that you want it added to. And then our final scenario here, on example 3, we've broken this down to be maybe an individual that kind of falls in between these 2 examples. Maybe this is a middle-aged person. We do find, by the way, that the average age of our accounts here within our program is right around 30. So, even though there are restrictions nationally on when the disability needs to have an onset in order to qualify, we do find that there are a number of individuals in their middle ages and older that still utilize these accounts. So maybe in this example 3, you have a person who's working, who has some short-term needs, but also long-term goals, kind of like we mentioned with this trip that Travis was going to go on, this Alaskan cruise. And so they may elect to, let's say in this example, put 50% into the bank safe, and that might be their funds to draw upon to use for current expenses. But then they also have goals to pay for other things that they need in the future, that they feel they might need, and so they might allocate funds out in these other investment options. In this case, this would be considered a little bit more of a conservative investment selection, with half of those funds going into the income and then some smaller portions in the more aggressive types. And maybe that's the comfort level of that individual. But definitely the one thing that we want to specify to you is that if you need any wonderful resources on what these investment options mean, the Vanguard public website is a great place. You can also go onto our website at stableaccount.com or any of our partner state websites. On there, you'll have a section about investments that will provide hyperlinks, or a link that you can quickly click on, and it will take you out to Vanguard's site to some of these pages and some of these pieces of information. So that would be another way that you can access these. But the great thing about these is they provide options for everybody, whether you need something very short term, whether you need something more long term, or something in the middle. But definitely, if you have access to it, seek out advice from a registered investment advisor or a financial planner, or those that are in this industry. One of the most common questions we continue to get asked is, can you help me select my investments? And as much as we would love to say yes and help the individual, we have a legal obligation to say no, because we are not registered in a way that will allow us to do that, and we got to be very careful of the law. But there are plenty of resources out there and ways in which you may be able to seek out that information. The final slide I wanted to go over really doesn't have to do with investment options, but we felt like we needed to at least cover our fee structure. So here before you is our fees. These are very common among most ABLE programs. We have a monthly maintenance fee. This would be a monthly fee for having the account, and you'll see those fees listed there. And we also have an asset-based fee. The asset-based fee means that Vanguard, as a investment provider, has a cost to using their products, and this fee comes directly out of the investment, and that's their earning for allowing us to use that investment option that they have, and using those investments that they have. And there's also a portion of that fee that does come to our particular program to help support operations. So those are the two main fees. We do note on the bottom of the page, though, that there are a number of things, like we do not charge an enrollment fee or a check processing fee or ACH processing fee. ACH is an electronic means of transferring funds. If you want to roll over from another program or from a college savings plan, there are no particular fees on that. And as highlighted earlier by Karen, our debit card is a completely free product to have and to use within the United States. So those are some great things as well. Next, we'll turn some time back over to our Deputy Director, Doug Jackson, to share with you some of the stories and ways in which our advocates are utilizing these programs.
Thanks, Tom. This is really the fun part of the webinar to me, and I believe everybody that supports ABLE programs knows why this is fun, and that is that ABLE accounts change people's lives. And so we're just going to share a few stories as to how lives have been changed, and use the stories of these 3 advocates that you see on your screen, and just tell you a little bit about them and why Stable Account has been an important part of their life. So the first person is Marge, and she is the mother of a Stable Account beneficiary. So Marge is the authorized legal representative, or ALR, of the account that benefits her daughter. Marge's daughter has Down syndrome, but we just got to spend time with Marge at her daughter's new apartment. And that was an honor for me to be a part of that experience, because I got to go into Marge's daughter's apartment, where she had just recently moved to, and see what the Stable Account allowed her to do. So Marge and her daughter used the Stable Account before the move to be able to save funds that then paid for many of the expenses of the move. So Marge's daughter, this was her first move of independence, out of Marge's home and into her own place. She is sharing this apartment with another individual, another young woman with a disability. But Marge said a few things to me that really make my job meaningful. And the things that Marge said were, stable accounts are easy and they're flexible. And that's what we strive for. If we had a product that was challenging to use or it was cumbersome, it wouldn't be a joy to be able to tell people about how this can be a benefit in their lives. But Marge just reassured us that stable accounts are easy, they're flexible. She talked about the enrollment process and how simple that was. But one thing that Marge also said, and this struck another chord, and that was, she was talking about attorneys who help in special needs planning. And she really gave advice in a motherly way that I would like to give as a professional as well. And that is that when you're working in the special needs planning arena, if you're working with an attorney or a pooled trust or somebody helping you with a special needs trust, so they're doing financial planning with you and your family, and you need to consider how you protect public benefits of a person with a disability, but also save money. If they are unaware of an ABLE account, then run from that attorney. Because attorneys these days have been given ample opportunity to learn about ABLE accounts. And they should know and have experience in combining the tools that are powerful to them. So a special needs trust and an ABLE account complement each other. So Stable Account has done a tremendous amount of outreach to the special needs planning and special needs trust world. We're proud to come alongside so many people that are doing this important work to say that it's not one tool or the other, it's both tools that work together. And Marge highlighted that so well in her own personal style as a mother and the quotes that she gave us. Marge and her daughter, advocates for the ABLE legislation when it passed back in 2014. So it was also neat to sit beside Marge as she was telling her story, and tears came to her eyes because she remembered when the vote was made on Capitol Hill to allow ABLE legislation to pass. And that is powerful to us who continue to carry this forward and make improvements. So Marge is a great example of a parent as an authorized legal representative helping her daughter with her Stable account. In the center of the screen, you have Michael. And Michael is an amazing young man who relies on Medicaid for in-home support. So you can see in the picture that Michael utilizes a power chair. And Michael allows me to share his story. It's a personal story, but he chooses to motivate people through the challenges and overcoming those obstacles that he has done in his life. Michael relies on a Medicaid paid provider to help him get ready in the morning, to help him transfer from his bed into his chair, and to help him with his morning routine. But once Michael is in his chair, Michael is independent, and he is in his community, and he works. He has a job working for the city where he lives. You can see, if you can see the small print detail of the map behind him, it says the zoning map. He actually works for the city. And Michael is a tremendous resource to that city office. And he earns money. But what Michael wants to do with the money that he has is he wants to be able to save it. In the past, Michael had to spend it down. And my passion in the ABLE industry is to eliminate that word spend down. Because there's an option now to save money, we don't want anybody to have to spend money simply to keep their public benefit. So Michael's story is amazing that with the earnings that he has, his primary goal is to save those after his monthly expenses are paid. And because of Stable Account, he is able to accomplish that. Now, I'll also give a shameless plug for Michael that he has written a book that recently was released, and it's available on Amazon, and it's called Beyond the Challenges. So you can actually look for the title Beyond the Challenges by Michael. His last name is Ham, H-A-M. He wouldn't mind me sharing that, especially as an author of this book, because he tells his life story about the challenges that he's had and those people that have come around him as a support. And Stable Account is actually one of the mentions in his book. Michael was an advocate during a congressional hearing about improvements to ABLE legislation. He personally went to Capitol Hill and testified, and that was a pretty powerful experience for Michael to be able to speak to the value of stable accounts in his life. Then the last example that I have is Dave. And Dave is the CEO of a company. And this company is not just any company. And I say that because Dave has done something that is a model of all companies. And that is that Dave's company saw the need for people with disabilities and people without disabilities to have equality in employment benefits. And Dave's company wanted to be able to offer 401k retirement plans, but he realized that the challenge of the 401k retirement plan is that it could become a countable resource for a person on public benefits. He didn't want to jeopardize public benefits of his workforce. The company that Dave works for has a workforce that is 50% people with disabilities and 50% without. And so it was very important to him to have equal benefits. So Dave offered stable accounts and 401ks, and the employees of Dave's company could choose which program they were eligible for and choose to enroll in that program. So people with disabilities were choosing to enroll in stable account and to have direct deposit from their paycheck into their stable account occurring. But Dave not only facilitated direct deposit from the company for his employees, he took it a step further, and he, just like the 401k program would provide a match, an employer match to contributions going into a 401k plan, Dave's company provided a match of the employee's contribution going into the stable account. An equal amount was being provided by Dave's company into the stable account as an employer contribution. So when Dave did that, we really like to use Dave as an example of setting the bar high for employment equality, for workforce benefits that are equal for people with disabilities and without disabilities, and a great approach to using a stable account to accomplish those goals. So all three of the advocates that you see on there come from different perspectives. Marge is a parent, Michael as a beneficiary who self-administers his account, and Dave as a person, an employer who is supporting people with disabilities by doing the right thing as an employer. And I like all three of those stories. We have hundreds, if not thousands, more stories of how each life is benefited from the stable account program. If you go to the last slide that I have to talk about, this is an important slide to us because we are here to help. The 1-800 number that's there, Karen pointed it out earlier. When you call that 1-800 number, you actually speak to a person. And I say that somewhat in jest and with humor, but I know from experience that people with disabilities are used to calling a public benefits program, being placed on hold or sent to voicemail, or going through a phone tree and oftentimes not getting where they hope to be to get assistance. And our program is dedicated to helping all of our beneficiaries and potential beneficiaries. We help anybody who calls this number. And so we answer questions with people who understand the need for patience, who understand that it may be a very long telephone call with a unique circumstance. And we take the care to answer each call and provide all of the information that we need to provide until every question is answered. We also have the email address there, the team at stableaccount.com, and we answer those very quickly. And of course, our website, stableaccount.com. Karen had mentioned earlier when she was talking about the support that Ohio provides to its partner states and to all participants nationally. I'm proud to say that we have 0 times where somebody that had a wrongful determination on public benefits called us and we were unable to not correct that wrongful determination. So we have had people that went into a public benefits redetermination or eligibility appointment. The ABLE account was counted wrongfully as a resource. They called us, they let us know, and we were quickly on the phone with that local public benefits office, sometimes rising to the need to call the federal office and involve them. But I think it's important to point out because there's a general fear that says, I don't want to lose my public benefits. I don't want them to be impacted, and I'm not sure that I can trust an ABLE account yet. With stable account, we have had 100% success in correcting wrongful determinations. And we're proud that we've had that success, because that means that every beneficiary that we serve has been able to maintain their public benefits without missing a benefits check. And we're happy about that. Their benefits have remained in place. The final thing that I'm going to point out is a very powerful statement to me. Yes, we're serving over 11,000 people now, and that is the tremendous number, the largest number of people that an ABLE account serves in America. But there's another number that I like to point out, and I said that my passion is to eliminate the word spend down. The idea of spending money to keep public benefits should be eliminated. We've had over $80 million in contributions into stable accounts. Much of that still remains in the stable accounts as assets under management. Some has been spent in transactions because stable account is there to facilitate both long-term savings and transactional needs, people that want to spend their money that they have. But over $80 million has been contributed. And what I compare that to is life without a stable account would have meant that over $80 million would have been wasted. It would have been spent down for the sole purpose of keeping a public benefit. And if it wasn't spent, the other ways of protecting it would have been to have hid it someplace, or to put it in an account that was not the beneficiary's name, so to hide it in someone else's bank account. And we know that that has happened in the past, where a parent might put it in their account just to simply safeguard it so that it was protected from public benefits. No longer do parents have to worry about an appropriate place to put funds of their child. No longer does a person with a disability have to worry about hiding money from a public benefits eligibility appointment. In stable account, we've protected over $8 million, and in ABLE accounts nationwide, the number is even higher. We are proud to be a large portion of the amount of money that's been safeguarded so that people maintain their public benefits. With that, we're going to go to the next slide, and I know that we have been unable to answer all questions that have popped up. I know many have been answered by a response being typed in to the chat box as they've been asked, but I'm going to hand it off to Miranda to facilitate the questions that we still have and any questions that we can continue to answer. Miranda?
Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Karen and Tom, as well, for this great presentation and overview. Yeah, we do have a few questions that have rolled in. We've been answering a lot of them in the chat and the Q&A, but I do have some questions for you, Doug, and that came in are related to the stable card in particular. And one of the questions, the first question we got was, does the Ohio or any other state ABLE plan in the National Stable Plan offer checking access to the account? It seems to be either electronic withdrawal or a debit card.
That's a great question that just looks to how do you spend money out of a stable account. So I will answer it for the stable account model. There are other ABLE programs out there that have other features to them, but we believe that the features that we offer for spending money have been able to serve every circumstance of spending that the beneficiaries have. So because there's three ways to spend money, one of those is to transfer money from the stable account back to a personal checking or savings account. So it is possible that you would then put an amount from stable account that's been protected there back into the personal account that would be a countable resource at that point, but put it back into that personal checking account and be able to spend it from there. So if you're used to using a checking account as your spending vehicle, you could do that. However, even better than that, we offer check writing or direct bill paying within stable account. So you can log in, you can tell us what bill needs to be paid, and we will make that payment for you. And so we're happy to be able to do that so that there really isn't a need to transfer it back to a personal checking account. We can pay that bill on your behalf for you. And then that stable card, of course, is the other way of spending. That is a primary feature of stable account. Using the loadable debit card and the TrueLink card that it is provides such a value in spending. And Visa card is accepted at so many places, and the transactional record keeping is so good with it that has served many people's needs just by using the stable card only.
Well, along those lines, we got a lot of questions about stable cards, Doug. What if your stable card's stolen? What's your liability?
Great question. So We've built in features to protect on that. The first is that you can log into your stable card and immediately freeze it, and that's become a popular feature in credit and debit cards that are on the market today. We've included that feature in the TrueLink card. The TrueLink offers that as a built-in function of the stable card. So you log in, you can freeze the card. If you find the card, you can unfreeze the card. You can also call the 1-800 number and ask for it to be put on hold so that transactions cannot occur. So there are quick ways to resolve that. And then the final way is that if you can't find it, if it doesn't turn back up and you've frozen it and you need a new card, we can send out a new card to you. So we are there to back up that lost or stolen card and make sure that you have access back to it as quickly as possible.
I only have 2 more stable card questions, Doug. The next one is, speaking of safeguarding your stable card, if your card is attempted to purchase alcohol or cigarettes or something that's not a qualified disability expense, will the card decline the purchase?
So it's got the capability of limiting the merchants where it can spend. That can be built into it. Now, what we will say is you can go to a grocery store, and whatever grocery store that may be in your area, and you can make purchases that show up as a grocery store purchase. And those purchases could be alcohol, they could be tobacco, and we can't limit it by an itemized or item type of purchase. We can limit it by a merchant type of purchase. So it could be limited to where it's being spent at. But the other features that are there are safeguards that really go above and beyond other ways of spending outside of stable account. And those safeguards are that if the stable card is used, there can be an immediate notification sent to a number that's programmed in. So you could put like the parent's cell phone number in, and it's going to give a notification to that cell phone as to where the card was spent and the amount that was spent, so that you can have a conversation when the individual returns home to say, what did you buy when you were there? I know that you were there, you made a purchase, what did you buy? So it creates good, healthy conversation. And then finally, you can make those limits on places where it could be spent at. I know that if I had this card, my wife would turn off Amazon Prime. I wouldn't be able to spend on Amazon. But for each individual, it could be customized. I say that with high regard to individuals' rights, and we aren't trying to violate an individual's rights. This would be a part of the planning process to where appropriate places are for the card to be used.
Great. Thank you, Doug. And then finally, I've got a couple more, but since the ABLE card, this person's writing in saying it's not a Visa or a MasterCard, and they need to save up for a new car to get back and forth to work. They're looking to save up to $23,000 and wondering what type of payment does a car dealership accept, which I'm not sure if you know the answer to that, but it sounds like if a car dealer would accept a stable card, potentially they could use that. Or you have the check writing capability you mentioned earlier, which might be a little more straightforward.
Yeah, the check writing capability would probably be the best way. We can get a check out very quickly, and whatever amount that we are told by the beneficiary the check needs to be written for, we can make sure it's in that amount and send it either to the beneficiary or to the car dealership, wherever would be appropriate for that. So it is possible to use the stable account for saving for a vehicle. We have many, many stories where that is the purpose for this account, and then to make the payment out of this account.
Right. Great. Well, here, just to switch things up a little in our last couple minutes, and I know I've got a few slides just with upcoming activities to cover, but I did want to ask, someone came in and said, how many times per year can they change the funding ratios? I think they're talking about the investment options.
Yeah, I'm going to let Tom Hatch answer that question for you. Tom?
Yeah, no, thanks, Doug. And again, to reiterate that point, and also be aware that this is a federal rule, so this is not a program-to-program rule. So all programs would be exactly the same on this, and that would be two times a year that you could move your funds from one investment to another. I will reiterate, though, as well, that for new contributions coming in to the account, you can change how you want those new contributions to be applied to your account any number of times within our program. But for the actual reallocation, moving from one investment type to another, actual movement of money, that federally is mandated to be only 2 times in a calendar year.
I think that's such an important point, Tom, that anything that's existing in the fund, you have 2 times a year to make changes to. Anything moving forward, you could change it up every time, couldn't you, with a brand new contribution, say, this time I want it going here, or this time I want it going there. Could you do that?
Absolutely, yes. In our particular program, that is the case. So they would just need to log in, rechange, and change the option of saying, next time a contribution comes in, I want it all put to this option or that option. And theoretically, if they want to do that every time they're expecting a contribution, they could. That might get a little onerous to have to go and do that a lot, but it is technically possible, yes.
And I just say that because I think that flexibility moving forward, it's very flexible. Moving back, with everything you've got existing, 2 times a year. Okay, thank you for that. And with that, I think the other questions that we've been responding to them in the chat. You can certainly, any other questions you have for our folks as we wrap up in our final moments here, we do have a post-training survey for you to complete, and you could ask those questions in there as well. If we could go to the next slide, I just want to make sure we're sharing with all of you some resources that you can access and look into. If you didn't download today's PowerPoint, it will be posted with the archive of today's webinar within the next 3 to 5 business days on our webinar page on our ablenrc.org website. You also, moving forward, can download that PowerPoint as you're coming into our webinar platforms. Just a tip for the future for those who didn't do that today. We also, if you go to the next slide, I want to point out an opportunity for everyone to please share the word about ABLE. Sign up for our Achievable newsletter, connect with us on social media, and participate in our webinars moving forward to continue learning great information and tips and resources about the ABLE Act, the ABLE program, ABLE programs like Stable, and the great information and resources they have to share and help support you as you're putting your down payment on financial freedom through the ABLE Act. If we can move forward to the next slide, I just want to point out we have our next upcoming webinars on June 20th at 2 o'clock Eastern. We're going to be talking about ABLE myths versus facts. The ABLE National Resource Center, we answer questions from people with disabilities, their families, those who support them about the ABLE Act, ABLE programs, and ABLE accounts on a daily basis in lots of different mediums. And we frequently hear misinformation or misunderstandings. Even a slight misunderstanding can turn into a big misunderstanding. So we want to make sure things are very clear about what ABLE is all about for those across the country who are moving forward with this. So this webinar is really just going to help break down the most common myths and misconceptions that we hear and provide those facts that you can trust as you're moving forward. So please do join us in June. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you so much to our presenters today with the National Stable Program, the National Stable Plan. Karen and Doug and Tom, thank you for joining us today. And thank you to our sponsors for sponsoring the ABLE National Resource Center. Here's our contact information if you want to reach out to us. You can email us at info@ablenrc.org, call us at 202-683-6094, or visit our website at www.ablenrc.org. Thank you again for joining us today. Please do take just 2 seconds, well actually probably more like 30 seconds, to respond to our post-training survey that's going to pop up on your screen. And we look forward to having everyone join us back here in June. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.